So raise your hand, guys, if you know how long does New Year resolutions usually last, right? New Year resolutions, start of the new year. How long does it last? Does it last for an entire year usually? What do you think? What do you think the answer is?
2 months.
2 months. That's a good guess. That's a good guess. 2 to 3 weeks. JC's got a point here. Very short. And the thing is, we have 12 months in a year, right? And New Year's resolutions is supposed to last us for the year, right? Because it's a New Year resolution. And here I drew this little thing because I think in China, this is like a sign of good luck. And people love in the New Year resolution. Most people say that they're part of their New resolution is finance. Right? They want to save more money. They want to pay off more debt. So that's a signal. Study shows, right? 4 out of 5 people, according to New York Times, make their New Year resolution. It does not last for a year. Okay, most people don't make it last, while 1 out of 3 wouldn't make it to the end of this month. So Winnie says 1 month, JC said 2 to 3 weeks, and Samuel says 2 months. They're close to the line. Half of the people, most of the people don't make it past 2 months. 2 to 3 weeks, yes. When about a third of people doesn't make it past 3 to 4 weeks, right? When he says a month after people usually lose motivation. Exactly. However, we want to identify, why do they not last? Why do they fail? So people called up the responses, asked those people who could not commit to New Year resolutions and asked them why. While 40% of people say they have too many other things. Okay, reasonable. I think this is a solid excuse. We always say there's so many things on our plate, right? We always say, oh, we just got too much for this, right? This health goal, we don't have enough time to exercise. Reasonable. 33% of people say they're not committed enough. And this one makes me laugh. I don't know about you guys. This one makes me laugh because not committed enough, a new resolution, a goal should be a commitment, right? And not committed enough is basically say, hey, I can't do this because I can't. I just can't, right? But it's true. 1 out of 3 people does that. And it's very, very normal. Here, I just want to say also that before last year, some of my most viewed New Year resolution in my own personal life is study, right? Raising my grades and trying to be a better friend and try to party less or trying to do something more healthy. But it never happened. It never happened. So I want to dive into not just why they fail, but how we can improve, right? So what are some common New Year resolutions? I think it's important to view the trend of common New Year resolutions in order to improve upon what we have right now and to know why they fail. Let's look at some common New Year resolutions according to the Atlantic. Top one is the financial resolutions, meaning most people in the turn of New Year, they want to either make more money or they want to save more or they want to pay off their debts, right? 51% in 2019. Okay, JC said diet and exercise. Yes. Eating healthier, diet, eating healthier. Wanting to eat more green, go on this diet, right? Wanting to just feel better too, right? Exercising more, exercising more. Wanting to just live a healthier lifestyle, wanting to put out more exercising, sweat more. What's the last one? Losing weight. Okay, that's 42%. A lot of people, I think, especially in the day and age of social media, right? It's really easy to compare ourselves and say, hey, I want to be like that too. So why do they not work? Okay, I just want to ask this. First of all, I want to gauge your opinion on this because truly, right, this is not 100% black and white thing. But why do you guys think most common New Year resolutions do not work? Why do most people fail after a month or two, right? Any thoughts?
Because they don't have an accountability partner.
That's great. That's great. They don't have accountability partner. They're trying to do it on their own. For sure. For sure. And it's great because we're establishing accountability partner today. So thank you, JC. Anything else maybe? Tadaki says family problem or incoming troubles. Yes, something that we cannot plan for, right? Something that we don't know in the future, because we have new resolutions, but things come up and difficulties come up. And among those difficulties, a lot of times we don't commit to those resolutions. And yeah, accountability partners. Too many goals. Alice says too many goals. Yes, absolutely. A lot of people, right? Me included in the past. I tried to use the next year to pile every single thing onto myself. And I think, well, I'm doing bad in my studies, then I need to do really, really good in my studies. I think, whoa, I'm not really enjoying my relationships. I gotta commit to my relationships. And then I just lose track of how to really commit. Mom says lose passion. Yes, losing that motivation, right? These are guys, these are exact same thing as I thought too. And they're correct, right? They reflect, because the problem doesn't come from the new resolutions, but come from what type of new resolutions. The problem doesn't come from our commitment or our motivation. It comes from what happens when our commitment gets shaky. What happens when our motivation doesn't align with how we usually first set them, right? Because we first commit to new resolutions as a set of desire. We want to feel better. We want to do more. But as difficulties come, as things come that we don't expect, right? The want to can be very, very easily destructed. And we would remain in our old self because that's easier. Okay. So that's why, because desire fluctuates and our motivation fluctuates, and certain things just causing us to feel like we don't want to keep on going, right? We just want to back down. So what does that mean then? Well, that means the goal of today, right, isn't to commit to a new resolution. But I hope today we can get to know some tools that really understands what the right type of new resolutions are, and really understands how we can make it stick regardless of what happens, right? Because to be honest, I personally do not know what 2021 holds. I don't know what's going to happen in the next year. I don't know what kind of problems might come in my way. However, knowing a compass, having an inner compass, and having a set of principles that guide me through these difficulties will make New Year resolution, right, have a higher chance of lasting, right? Because at the end of the day, it's not about just one or two things, the resolutions, but about who we are as people and how we overcome these difficulties given our values, how we can make lasting changes, right? We don't want to just make this one change, but we want to become a healthy person. We want to become a more organized person, and we want to make that change that's lasting, right? So that's the goal of today. And how can we reach that goal? How can we make our New Year resolution more lasting? First, I like to show this picture because it's a ladder and it's on the wall, right? You might be wondering, what does this have to do with New Year resolutions? Well, I think a lot of times we try to climb a ladder. A lot of times our resolutions are like the ladders, and we're trying to climb to be at a higher place or like a better place. However, a lot of times we neglect the wall that the ladder is leaning on. What does that mean? That means in order to be further along in life, we try to look at what's near us, the ladder, but we don't recognize the ladder is leaning on the right wall. So that's important because we can climb the ladder as fast as we want, as fast as we can. We can be efficient. We can work out so many new things. However, without our end goal or destination, without knowing that the ladder is on the right wall, that will only allow us to get to the wrong place faster, right? Without knowing exactly where we're going, just by taking action, that will only take us to the wrong place faster. Did I say right place? It's the wrong place faster. Okay, we can work really, really hard. We can improve our habits, and we can be very, very efficient. That's only get us to the wrong place faster. Here, it's not to discourage us working hard, but to encourage us to first realize why we gotta work hard. if our ladder is on the right wall. Why is that? Because efficiency and effectiveness are two different things. Effectiveness is to make sure that our efforts is going along the right things, the right set of things. So how does that tie into the new resolution then? I think a lot of times in the past, I look at new resolution as a way to be more efficient. I want to do more. I want to study more. I want to develop more habits without considering if those things are leaning on the right wall, without considering what my true problems are. So in order to make it last, in order to make long-lasting habits, right? Don't we need to first check if our changes are made in the right place? Does that make sense? Do we need to make sure that we first are going to the right direction? Right? What does that mean then? It means to start with a clear destination, clear understanding of where we're going. Because not knowing where we're going, we can walk, but we can walk in the circle. We can run, but we don't get anywhere. Okay? How do we find our destination? That, guys, is the habit number 2, by the way, in the book of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And it's called Beginning with the End in Mind. I'd highly encourage you guys to give this habit a read because it allows us to gain more clarity on what's truly important. And that's why, right, we're building today's seminar on, is the habit number 2. So first, I like to introduce the idea of first and second creation. What does that mean? What does that mean to have first and second creation, right? Well, everything is created twice, meaning when we take action, guys, everything is happening once in our head and once when we actually do stuff. Okay, let's take an example to illustrate this. Let's take an example of building a house. Remember 2 weeks ago, we discussed habit number 1 of being proactive. Remember how we were saying, hey, we got to be proactive, we got to take charge, and we got to be able to change, right? That's important because that allows us to take charge. But now the important part is habit number 2, which allows us to create a blueprint before the construction. You see, similar to a house, right? We need a blueprint before we take the construction. And why is that? Because we never know what's going to happen without a blueprint. Imagine just building a house with just bricks, and imagine just building this house without a blueprint. We don't know if we should put the family room here or there or anywhere, right? And in order to change it after everything's done, that's going to cost us a lot more, okay? So everything is created twice, right? And first creation is the blueprint, while the first step towards the house, while the second creation is construction, making the blueprint come true. Okay, I just want to pause here for a sec because we moved quite a bit from New Resolution to now we're talking about houses, right? So does anyone has any question regarding this?
I
Yeah.
have.
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
So now we are talking about the second habit, right?
Second habit.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's the second habit means blueprint or construction or two step.
Yes. So construction is important, but the second one is the blueprint. It talks about taking the blueprint before taking construction. It talks about knowing what we're going to do and knowing why we're going to do before we actually do the thing. So the third habit, which we'll cover next week, is construction parts. Construction is important, right? Because with action, because vision without action is just a dream. So we need the action. But this is just saying that in order to make the action more effective, we need the blueprint before the action. In order to make the new resolution last, we need to know exactly why what's the end result of our new resolution before we actually take the action.
So can I say it's a kind of New Year's resolution? A
This
kind
is
of maybe similar.
this is exactly, yes, it could be a kind of new resolution, right? However, how I understand this is this extends beyond just this new year, but rather this is a resolution for our lives, right? We're building this house of our lives. We're building this house of how we want our lives to become. And essentially, new year resolution is just one step, but this talks about how exactly do we want the entire house to be built. So years after, even this will affect us, right? The decision that we're making right now to build will affect us in the future.
So I think why just now I asked such kind of question because last week I talked with young boy Samuel, and
Yeah.
also Samuel has such kind of problem. Samuel doesn't know what should he do or what kind of person does she want it to be. So I know it's human beings thinking. For me, up to now, I don't know what am I.
Yeah.
And in the past of the year, or maybe in the following years, what should I do?
Yes.
So maybe I know this New Year's resolution, but it's hard to find our purpose, maybe our final. Yeah. It's
I completely agree with you, Mom. I completely agree with you. And I think, right, you asking that for Samuel, thank you so much. I think that's super, super cool that you guys talk about this in your short conversations, right? And Samuel, is that true? That's something that you guys talked about?
Yeah, totally true.
Totally true. And do you want to just repeat the question for everyone here? Just to make sure that if anyone has like any answers.
Yeah, so like starting from like senior year, since I had to really like reflect on what I wanted to do in the future, like choosing like majors and all that. Yeah, that was kind of like the topic. So I guess my question is just like how can you find your drive in life, your passion in life,
Yeah.
and like how can you take like steps to achieve that?
Yes. Okay. I absolutely 100% agree with you. And it's crazy that Samuel's on the road, guys. After Samuel and my mom said this, JC typed in the chat as well. I feel the same. How do you figure out the destination? How do we know what we want to do at the end, right? How can we figure out this blueprint, right? And what do you mean to be when you don't know? What do you want to be when you don't know all that is out there? Okay. I feel you guys. Okay. And this is such an amazing topic because, to be honest, for me as well, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do 20, 30 years from now. I don't know what I'm going to do either at the end of my life, right? But I think that's okay. Why is this? Because last year, I didn't know that I'm going to be here talking with you guys. Last year, I didn't know that I'm going to find a group of motivating, inspiring individuals and discussing self-improvement. Last year, I didn't know any of this would happen. Okay. As I set my new resolutions, none of this was part of the plan. However, I think what's important isn't what we will do, but who we want to be at the end of our life, right? We can't determine what we will do because that's something that our society, our situation, everything determines for us sometimes, right? We can determine who we want to be every second. And what we do is a vote to who we want to be. So a lot of times we tend to look at the end results of a lot of individuals, right? The end house of what someone has built. And we see, whoa, this is so cool. We want to build this house, but we don't know how, right? However, in order to build this house, this person has gone through the construction, has gone through first the blueprints and the principles, and the pillars of the house first. And as he or she has gone through the foundations that we do not see. And he or she is a person, right, with value principles that we do not see on the outside, but we just see the final results. Let me share with you a quick story, Samuel, and hope that story serves us in finding more peace, accepting who we are, and finding more peace and direction to where we will become. Bill Clinton, the former president, okay? This is a story from the podcast, Born to Impact, by the way, Brian. And he says, one of the person who was a pastor said he met Bill Clinton at a basketball game. And we all know Bill Clinton was this very, very charming guy and very, very right, high reputational president. But during the ball game, no one knew he was there. And why was this important? Because he showed up to the ball game and greeted every single person on the front row and somehow make them all feel very important. He somehow just say, "How are you doing, ma'am? How's your day? I like your shoes. Well, I like your glasses." Somehow he makes every single person feel like they're the most important person in the world through just a walk. He absolutely does not have to do that, but that's just who he is. He is someone who's committed to make others feel like they're the most important people in the world. He's someone who's committed to be this person who's so keen to detail that he showed up at a ball game, right, where no one's expecting, and he became the center of the attention. So I think that story, right, shows that we don't know what we will do in life. And truly, Samuel, I connect with you on your concern. My senior year, I was at a worse shoe. I didn't even know how I'm going to like go to college, and I didn't even know what I want, right? But the thing is, with this, I think it's important to figure out who we want to become as a person in 20, 30 years. Why? Because sow a thought, reap an action, sow action, reap a habit, right? I almost got it backwards. Sow a habit, reap a character, and sow a character, reap a destiny. What kind of destiny we want comes from right here. Our mindset and our thoughts and who we are. Who we are generates the type of action that we take, and the type of action that we take becomes eventually what we will become in the future. Okay? Does that make sense? I hope that's how, okay. Oh, sorry, there's a lot of questions in the chat right now. What if second creation don't work out? Should we continue with it or make another one? As long as you're alive, you can change your mind and pivot. YOLO. I've had friends who passed the bar exam and realized they hated practicing law, made a pivot, becoming a chef. Yes, exactly, JC. And that's so cool about this is because I'll come back to your question as well, Tadaki, but it's such a good question that I want to come back to in a bit. But JC is exactly. It's so cool, right? Because we always wanted to head towards this direction. We think this direction is something that we want to do, but God has a way of humbling us and a way of teaching us to not rely on our own thoughts and our own plan, but on His. Last year, I wanted to be a personal trainer in the beginning of my year. I want to be the person in the gym that's motivating people and to build bigger muscles, right? But that didn't work out. And instead, God allowed me to come back home and study. And He has a better plan for me at the graduate schools and higher education. And that's why I'm here. So Tadaki says, what if second creation don't work out? Should we continue with it or make another one? Okay, Tadaki, what do you mean by second creation don't work out? Like the problems, if problems come? Thank you, Brian. Brian says you're still a personal trainer, but just different type. Yeah, Tadaki. In the end, it don't work out. Okay. Let me ask you this, Tadaki, right? If you have a plan, sorry, Alice, I also saw your hands, which you feel free to talk, but let me just answer his question real quick, if that's okay, right? Because I think it's truly a very, very good and important question. Yeah, what happens if the house that we want built in the end, it doesn't look like how we plan to be, right? I think that's very, very common. Why is this? Because a lot of times when we plan out things to do, a lot of factors comes in and a lot of things just come at once. For example, I did not plan to have this super awesome conversation with Samuel and with JC, but it came in and I'm grateful for this opportunity. Why? Because I personally, right, I'm grateful for the opportunity to serve you guys and the opportunity to connect with you guys. And that's the thing. You see, if we have the first creation figured out, if we know the reason why we're doing what we're doing right now, if we know the blueprints and at the center of the blueprints, we want our house to build this way. Why is this? Because we want the house to be family centered and we want the family room to be at the center, right? However, if the second creation doesn't work out, meaning it doesn't look exactly like how we imagined to be, that's okay because we know we're headed towards the wrong direction, right? The right direction, right? As long as we follow the first creation, the thing that we truly want, who we are, second creation is just another way of showing who we are, showing the first creation. If it doesn't look exactly how we want to be, I think it's a good experience to allow us to take the best that we can at every single situation. You see, a lot of times I also think that my life has to be perfect. It has to follow each step, each plan that I have to do. But some of the best moments come when we have our first creation, we know exactly why we do things, and then we have a completely different second creation. Why is this? Because it pushes us out of our comfort zone, allows us to grow, and it gives us complete different results that shows, whoa, my way doesn't have to be the highway. My way doesn't have to be the best way. There's a way maybe better than my way before. But as long as our core, our first creation is set, as long as we have our blueprints, we wouldn't get lost, will we? As long as we know the direction we're headed, we can take ups and downs, we can go side to side. We're still on the same path to where we want to become, right? However, if we follow our second creation without the first creation, if we think we follow this plan perfectly to the T, but where we want to end up, our first creation, is the wrong direction. Wouldn't you agree that we're only going towards the wrong direction faster? Right? Does that make sense, Tadaki? So it's okay, I guess. If anything, it's common that things don't work out the way we want them to be, right? However, if the first creation is correct, right? If our blueprint's right, we can make tweaks about the second creation. We still get the final result that we desire. Does that help? Yeah. Okay, let me know. I'd love to talk to you more about this as well. I think we're spending a lot of time here. But Alice, are you here? I saw your hands just raised, and I want to make sure to give you an opportunity to speak.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I just now I heard Samuel's question regarding what you're going to do. So I think so. I think this Samuel, your question should can be split into two questions. What kind of person you're going to be, and what kind of a career and occupation you're going to choose. People always change with career. I want to be a doctor, but it turns out like a chef or those technicians. But what kind of person you want to be, you can, because you will be shaped by society, by the people around you. But there's some general things. So your question can be split into two. Then we will discuss based on these two questions, two answers.
Yes, I think that's great. I think you explain it in a little bit more detail and a better way to take in, split into two different ways about our general direction of where and where we want to go and who we want to be, right? I think that's excellent. Thank you so much, Alice. And that really shows, right? I think since we have my mom and Alice here, right? Can I ask you a question, guys, about this? Just to make sure that, right, I'm with you, Samuel, on this as well. I don't know exactly what I would do. Because from our perspective, as 20-year-olds, even not even 20, I think, Samuel, you're maybe 18, we feel pressure from society, kind of, right? That we got to get things figured out, especially talking with our friends. Our friends always say, hey, what are you going to do for college? What are you going to do after college, before you even went to college? Who do you want to be? And some people know exactly what they want to do. Maybe they want to be a lawyer or they want to do stuff. That's great for them. But the thing is, most people don't know what they're going to do, and that's okay. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I know that this doesn't affect who I want to become. Right? I don't know what I'm going to do, but that doesn't make me less than other people who have their career figured out in their own way. Because we can have plans, we can have things figured out in our own way. But at the end of the day, our results and what happens doesn't always according to plan. And like Ella said, right, knowing the general direction and knowing why we got to do the things that we do sometimes is more important than knowing exactly what to do. And let me ask you, Mom, when you're 20, do you know that you're going to be here where you are today, doing what you're
No,
doing?
of course not.
Of
Because
course
the
not.
society is developed so fast. When I am 20, I don't have any image. Yeah, I think things just based on my parents.
Yeah.
So it's limited. It's
Very limited.
yeah, very limited.
Yes. But the thing about my mom is wherever she goes, she's the type of person to always challenge herself and go after better things. She's the type of person to always recognize, right, there's better things, better world out there. And she told me a story, I think this week or last week, about her when she was a teen in college or after college. That, right, Mom, you went to Germany when everything in China was talking about communism. And it's funny, funny because people in China, when they're like in a communist society, they think communism is the way to go. Like they probably think, oh, the socialists or capitalism, they're dumb. Like they're eventually going to, their society is going to just die. And that's, my mom explained that to me. It's hard to believe but that's how she was thinking. But she went to Germany and she went to capitalism society and she's like, these people have toilets. They have electricity. Like what? You know, so I guess that story shows, right, even though she doesn't know where she can be, but who she is and her mindset allowed her to expand her perspective. Because a lot of times our plan, our desire, our career might not even be the best that we can achieve. But just by being more open-minded and being, right, we're going to talk about the first creation, having this first creation allows us to build even better second creation than we thought before, right? So JC said, guys, I want to thank you guys so much for allowing us to have this conversation, but it is taking a bit of time and I want to get to know, right, get to explain, I guess, how can we find the first creation then, right? Because now we all know, we want to know, whoa, then how can we find the first creation? So I'll look to get to that. But first, let me see the JC's comments. She said, exactly, felt like as a 16, 17, 18-year-old, how did school or life prepare me to check off a box, career for next? Yes, there are jobs today that didn't exist 5 years ago. Absolutely true, JC. This leads us to, right, the next conversation about leadership versus management. You see, a lot of times, according to Peter Drucker and Warren Bellis, management is doing the things right, but leadership is doing the right things. Management is doing the things efficiently, but leadership is finding out how to more effectively do the things that truly matter. And like JC said, right, there are jobs today that didn't even exist 5 years ago. Why is this important? Because Management focuses on the now, on how to do the thing the way they are. But the society is a very fast-paced and changing society. And leadership is the top line approach of the direction we're headed in, while the management is the bottom line. A lot of times when we're in this management paradigm and in this management mindset, we're thinking, how can we be, right? How can we beat the best student or lawyer? When sometimes leadership says there's another way that's even better than the management. When we're trying to do the jobs that we currently have the best, right? Which is good, but leadership is saying that the society is moving so fast that sometimes there's a better approach, right? What does that mean, guys? That means habit number 2 allows us to create a blueprint of our lives, of our end goals, according to some of our deepest values. It means to take leadership and to take charge of our own life, not just be a manager, but be a leader of our personal lives, okay? Because effective people, they're leaders, they're builders of their own life. They create a blueprint while management is creating the construction. Management is talking about what we do on a day-to-day basis, while leadership is kind of talking about, right, where are we headed? Where does us as a person, what is our principles? Management focuses on the rule, while leadership focuses on the values. Management focuses on how to do this one thing, while leadership focuses on how can we get together and do something even greater. So how do effective people exercise their personal leadership then? Guys, this is why we're here today. I'd like to invite you to do a quick exercise that requires a few things. Remember, 2 weeks ago, we discussed our unique human ability of being self-aware. Here, we're talking about the 2 more unique ability of our imagination and consciousness. And this is really, really tough, but right, I think I saw a question before of how can we get the first creation? How can we craft the blueprints? And this is exactly how. This was an exercise from the book that I borrowed. However, right, this is just a tool. It's how to get to know your first creation. And we're running a little bit low on time. We're almost 4, but I do recommend you guys to experience this exercise before you log off, because having this tool of how to know, right, how to know our first creation, I think it's truly, truly crucial. So are you ready for this? Okay. All right, guys, so I invite you to close your eyes and allow the music to take us to an afternoon at funeral. I'll play some music. Okay, so let's get this a little bit. Can you guys hear this, by the way? Nod your head if you can hear it. Can you hear the music?
No.
No? Okay, that's a fail. Okay, my bad. So there's no music then. Okay, let us just close our eyes then and think about this exercise, okay? So for this exercise, we're going to be going to a place in the afternoon. And this exercise will expose us to our deepest values. And I like us to really just use our imagination here. I hope my voice can serve as a guide through the exercise while we answer some of the questions here. So let's imagine us driving to a venue. What type of venue? It's a parking lot. As we get to the parking lot, we get out of the car, we feel the air is kind of cold. It's similar to, it's like a chapel. It's at a funeral. We look around, we see people dressing in black, and we see them with their head down, kind of just silently walking towards the same place. So we follow them, right? We are going towards the same place as well. We follow them to the coffin. It's a funeral, and we can sense in the air a sense of sadness. However, a great gratitude to have known this person who just died. And as we walk towards the coffin, we look in. And who do we see? We actually saw ourselves. This is our own funeral 3 years from now. This is our own funeral 3 years from now. So we come back down and we sit down, okay? And during the funeral, there are usually services that allow us to the speakers to speak, and those speakers are some of the most valuable and some of the closest people to the person who just passed away. So I want us to take a second here to identify who those people are. Our family, our friends, okay, people at our work, our school, people at our community or a church. So let's first hear about a family. Our family first went up because they're the closest people to us, and they started talking about us. What are they saying about us? Right? What kind of contributions are they talking about? How do we feel about their speech? Okay. Next, we have our friends. They also went up to talk about us. What kind of experiences did the friend talk about? And how does that show who we are as people? Then we have people at our work, at school, for students. They went up to the funeral too, and they started their speech. How would you like them to talk about us? What kind of descriptions, what kind of characters do you think they see in us from the time that we interact together? Okay, last but not least, we have people within our community, our church, people that we see maybe once a week, once a month, once a year. What about those people? What kind of things do you want them to say about you? The contributions and achievements. Okay. Since we're here, I'd like to add one last group of people. And this group of people, surprisingly, are someone that we don't know, but they know us because of the things that we did in the world. There's someone that are on all the way the other side of the world. Maybe we never traveled to that place, but they know us because of who we are as people and our influence. What kind of contribution was that? What kind of contribution did we do to affect that person all the way across the world to speak at our funeral? What are they saying about us? All right, guys. So thank you guys for doing that exercise. That was it. You can open your eyes now. And this is a very not the most common exercise, right? We don't always do this. However, what we just did was we got to know our definition of success. You see, this exercise, what we just did, touched on some of our deepest values and our definition of success. And most people, when talking about their funeral, they don't talk about, right, that extra money that they made, or they don't talk about the things that are worldly. They truly reflect on some of the values that they have. And fortunately and unfortunately, right, those are the moments that we're all gonna face. However, what's different is we have the ability and the time to define how we want those moments to be. The fourth question, right? What are some of the things said about you, about your family, about your friends, what about the people at work and school, and what about the community? Okay. I wish that we can take a minute here to write these things down, because at this moment, we're crafting our first creation. We're crafting our definition of success, and we're crafting our values, who we are, how we want to be at the end of our life, even a little bit past our end, okay? Since we're past a little bit of time, also, and I want to respect your time. You're free to go on about your day, okay? However, I would like to take a little bit extra, maybe 5-10 minutes, to share with you some of the answers about these questions that some of the most successful people answered, right? If that's okay with you, if you want to stay, I'll stay also for 10 minutes to show some of the most successful people, their answers to those same 4 questions, right? or maybe their personal mission statement. So does anyone want to, okay. Anyone want to jump out and share any of those questions? What any of the thoughts in their mind?
I'll go.
Okay, JC. Yes.
I would hope that people
Mhm.
would say that they remembered me for being kind and always thinking of others first, sometimes to my own detriment. That I, would take time out to do something for them if, if
Yes.
I had the means to do it, meaning whether it's the time or the money or whatever the action is.
Yeah.
That I was there for them when they needed me, whether it's just there to listen to them.
Definitely.
What else? People were that I was helpful. Like if I saw that they needed something, that I would offer assistance without them having to ask first. Like I would just see they needed something and just jump in and to help them.
Because you're such a good friend, right? Yes.
Yeah. You would hope that would happen.
Yeah.
But,
Yes. Anything else?
I don't know. I was going to say something about like attempting to cook, but my cooking is not the best. So
That's okay.
that's
okay.
not going to be. But yeah, I would always try to make things better for people, and that's mostly my goals, like through life and work, family stuff, and all that. That I really like if they remember back that far, like my little cousins, I remember like taking care of them and hanging out with them.
Definitely. It's those little things. Truly, I'm the same way, and I definitely identify with that. Thank you for sharing. I think my goal as well is to leave everyone better than when I found them. To truly just to make them feel like they're the most important person and do all I can to help them as well.
Yeah.
And this is something that seems very small as we're talking about person to person, but God give people who are faithful with little, God give them more. So just by being faithful and taking care of those around you, that's how we make impact, right? And I commend you for that, JC, to be able to do that in such like small details in just every single person that you meet. And that's why it's so cool, right? Because success doesn't have to be a huge thing. Heroes doesn't have to save the world. They just have to save the world around them. Success doesn't have to be this grand thing that someone did one day, but it can just be a little action around this person's life in day one. So thank you for sharing. Does anyone else want to share before we move on to our last topic? I love how Brian, I love how the sun's like making your face like half white and half black.
The lighting is bad and good,
It's really good, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you,
Okay.
Yeah.
Alice also raised her hands. Yes, Alice. Alice, would you like to share?
Hello. Yes. I wish I could be remembered by people after I die. Is that the question?
Of course.
Remember the laughter I brought was over. The funny moment, not only tears or missing or cry, just to remember me. Whenever they will laugh, they will be happy. Keep happiness in mind. Always do not hurt others. Just bring more laughter to people. That's what I wish.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I didn't catch what's your goal just now you said, but I'm going to talk about later. But as I said before, the Samuel's question, because everybody has that problem, what I'm going to do. Even now, I'm still thinking what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. But I have the general principle. I will be kind. I have my value. in my mind. I will be helping others. I don't put too much time to pursue the material stuff. I will set
Yeah.
up my spiritual realm, so I can have enjoy more art and the music and the spiritual things, and talk with the philosophers, and to save lives and to help others.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do. I hope I can, after I died, I save, though I died, but I save a lot of lives. I help a lot of girls go to school. I help a lot of poor kids to go to university or move to Canada or move to America, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm very
Definitely.
ambitious.
Yeah,
Very
it's good.
ambitious.
It's really good because, first of all, Alice, you definitely bring laughter here. Thank you so much. You definitely bring laughter here.
I think
Every time,
I think today's should be a lot of, because I assume today should be the beginning should be the at the first it should be celebrate. It's a sad year, but still we have something to celebrate.
yes,
And
yes,
uh, we should be happy and feel blessed. Because today is the first day of the new year, actually.
yeah,
So first, let's celebrate. Then
that's
we made a
true.
resolution.
Yes,
Yeah. Oh,
that's true.
that's good.
And thank you for bringing the happiness and celebration, right? I think what's truly cool about, we still have the 8 of us here, by the way. What's truly cool about the 8 of us is we think that by just one person, right? It's just one person walking the street having this dream. That's just a dream. And that just seems very small. A group of people with the same dream, a group of people trying to help other people and make their lives better, that's no longer a dream, right? That's a common goal. And
Yes,
what
last
is,
time sorry. I thought you. Go ahead,
you're
please.
good. Yeah, and I think that's so cool about this is because we all have our dreams, right? But we all are such good people that just want good for other people as well. And guys, I'm truly blessed to start off this year with you guys. We're talking about celebration, right? Yeah, celebrate. It might not be the best to do or it might not seem the most appropriate to do the funeral exercise in the beginning of the year. But that's how we begin with the end in mind, right? We begin the year knowing exactly what we want, so that throughout this year, we know that through ups and downs, through different second creations, we have our values, we have our first creation, and we are solid in knowing that we also have a team behind us because we started off the first day very, very strong. So thank you, Alice, for bringing that up. And thank you guys for this amazing day today. So to make it fast, okay, I'd like to bring us to the last topic now. So new resolutions, I like to think about them as kind of actions and practices and things we have to do. But what we just did just here touches more deeply on the principles and the values that we have. The deeper it is, the more robust the change. That's why with new resolutions, if we don't change our values, right, our practices are very, very superficial. But by changing and knowing our values, then the practice that comes are a lot easier. Okay. Here, I described a little bit on, I think, personal mission statement. What we just did and what we just talked about, guys, that is our mission statement. I think JC talked about, right, making people feel warm and be a kind person and giving people, leaving them better than when we found them. Alice said making people laugh, making people enjoy their life and celebrate. Those are personal mission statements. Okay, it focuses more on our overall goal, why we exist, and who are important in our lives. So guys, I encourage you to craft our own personal mission statement this week, as I'm also doing the same. However, it takes a very, very long process to craft this. Since it's a lifelong goal and lifelong statement, I just encourage you to hopefully just write our thoughts down for now. And this, I believe, is more long-lasting if achieved than just New Year, right? It doesn't just last us through this year. It lasts us throughout our lifetime. It doesn't just make us, right, feel motivated for the first 2 months. It will allow us to realign our value, our action with what's truly important for the next 20 years, 2 years, whatever years, right? And I think it's important because let's take a look at some of the most successful people here and their personal mission statement, okay? So this is the Campbell Soup Company CEO, Denise Morrison. And she said her personal mission statement is to serve as a leader, live a balanced life, and apply ethical principles to make a significant difference. See, this is kind of action, but it based upon principles, right? To serve, to help others, to balance, and to be an ethical person, and to make a difference. And here, it's another CEO of some family entertainment. I don't know exactly who he is, but he said, I define personal success as being consistent to my own personal mission statement, to love God and love others. It's that simple, to love God and love others, to just love those around us, because consistency compounds. And as we love, take care of those around us, God will give us more, right? We have 3 more for you. What about Oprah? Does anyone know Oprah? Right? I'm a big fan of Oprah and she's dope. This is her mission statement: to be a teacher and to be known for inspiring my students to be more than they thought they could be, to inspire, to allow them to realize more, to be a teacher, to teach by example, to enlighten people, right? I saw a quote earlier this week that says a good teacher doesn't just fill the pot, they ignite a fire. A good teacher doesn't just tell people what to do, filling the dirt. They ignite a fire of desire within the other people and give them the tools to become who they could be, their potential, right? At least I'm a huge fan of her. Yeah, she's dope. What about Virgin Group, the founder of Virgin Group, Richard Branson, right? He says he wanted to have fun in his journey through life and learn from his mistakes. He just want to try out different things, and whatever happens to him, he will accept it and he will learn, right? Because we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know the pandemic's going to be here. We don't know how 2021 will be, but we're going to have fun. We're going to learn. We're going to embrace the challenges, and we'll thank God for everything that happened, right? Last but not least, this is the founder of Daily Worth. I have no idea what that is either, but she said to use my gifts, intelligence, charisma, and serial optimism to cultivate the self-worth and net worth of people, of women around the world. Right? She has a specific group of people she identifies as women, and she want to cultivate the self-worth and net worth of them around the world. I just think that's interesting, how some of the best and most successful people in the world, their mission statement really is who they are. Oprah, right? She really inspires me. But she did that in such a good job that she's famous for her character. She's famous beyond what she does. Okay. It's also very simple. Yeah. It's not like a huge, oh, I gotta reach this, but it's just something that's fundamental and something that we can do, whatever we do, right? I believe that if Oprah is a teacher in a school, elementary school, her kids will be the happiest kid in the world. I believe that if Richard Branson is doing something else, astronaut, whatever, he will be, right, having the most fun, and he will also be successful. So it doesn't matter what we do, but it matters who we are and how we approach it. Because no matter where we end up, I know that the 8 of us, right, will end up at somewhere because of our mission statement, but known for what we do. Okay, so the first part, importance, is our mindset. So this week, I hope that, right, it allows us to gain understanding on how to find our deepest value. And on top of the New Year resolution, we don't just make practices and actions, but rather identify our value now and identify importance that lasts us, not just through this new year, but through the rest of our life, right? Because the last quote I want to leave you guys is, a vision without action is just a dream. Action without vision just passes the time. I used to just love to take action. I love to go to the gym. But I didn't have a vision for it. So it's kind of like passing the time. But a vision with action can change the world. So guys, this week we talked about vision. The next week we'll discuss on how to take the vision, the first creation, and take the appropriate action upon what we learn, okay? So in the meantime, should we set up some accountability since we have 8 people here? Right? Should we set up some accountability and come back in the middle of the week to talk about maybe some things that, some of the values that we figured out, and to discuss how the next week went, the first week of 2021, right? Okay, Ryan's nodding his head. Okay, so JC says it's a financial newsletter geared towards, oh, okay, that's cool, that's cool. And JC said mission statement equals guiding principles. Exactly. That's what it is. It's a guiding principles. It's an inner compass, right? Allowing us to be where we are. So how should we do this? I think we can just do the same thing that we did last time by, let me stop recording first.